Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to everybody that's joining in right now. Welcome to the very first episode of Soccer Yard. This is the place where real African football fans, real world football fans, they join, chat it up, and break down the world's most beloved sport. That is, of course, football. I'm joined today by my colleagues, my amazing friends, Muqbil Yabarow, Omolemo Kale, and of course, I'm your host, Mike Hove. Gentlemen, welcome to the yard. Let's break it down. Let me start off finding out how you guys are feeling, man. We just saw an electric AFCON final, something that still has goosebumps all over my body. What's your thoughts, man? Talk to me.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it was arguably one of the best finals that I've seen in a long time. It had everything you wanted, from just phenomenal star power on either side to, theatrics to amazing goalkeeper play. Man, it really had everything, to ref decisions that potentially could have
The
changed,
worst. The worst.
the historic ending of such a phenomenal AFCON, and man, it was amazing. I honestly speaking, just me being a neutral, having
Mhm.
watched that game, I really was just in there just watching it, and I was like, man, what a game. I could only imagine what I would have felt had I been on either side, though.
Mhm.
But just a neutral standpoint, amazing game.
Omo?
Yeah, for me being still an aspiring footballer,
Mhm.
I genuinely think these are the things that football players live for
Mhm.
to the core.
Mhm.
You have all these dramatic moments. You have the let in calls. You got the missed calls. You got all these things. People running off the pit. It's cinema to its fullest extent. And I didn't even get to eat because I had my food with me. But the whole time I was glued to the
You're
TV, brother.
fine.
So, so literally it was everything that I could actually want for even the level of play. The play didn't seem so desperate. The chasing and all this other that we saw in other games. This game was actually a pretty nice game to watch as a footballer and a fan. There was well build-ups. There was captains taking charge. There were so many things about this game that made it such a satisfying final for such a great tournament.
Yeah.
Back
Obviously,
just to piggy
go
Yeah,
ahead.
just to piggyback off that right before you dive into it, Mike. For me, the key thing was just getting a winner in regular time. Well, not regular time,
It
but just
wasn't regular time.
right. But having this game not go to PKs for
Mhm.
me was essential because it's like, man, sometimes I mean PKs are for what it's worth. I get it. Sometimes the better team ends up winning, but sometimes it doesn't, So like it would have been super unfortunate for that game to go all the way and for it to have been decided on PKs. Like the way that it ended was just the team that just gritted it out and wanted it more in that moment had a brilliant strike that we're obviously going to dive into in a bit,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
it was great. It was great.
So let's talk about some of the men in the moment, right? So if we look at actually all the awardees played in the final, right? So you talked about the amazing goalkeeper, Yassine Bonou. Shout out to him. What a goalkeeper. Arguably the top three in the world, not just Africa. Um, we have Sadio Mane played his last AFCON in his career, capped it off with 2 goals, 4 assists in 7 games. And then Brahim Diaz, the man who broke Morocco's heart, who tried to panenka that penalty. But, Mendy was right there to just pick it up like it was leftover food, man. Talk to me, man. Who do you think were your standout players when we're looking at the final? We're still going to talk about the whole tournament, but let's start off with the final.
I mean, I would like to first be able just to say, so I'm a Man City citizen, you understand? And
Unbelievable.
Brahim Diaz, I'm just gonna be very honest right now.
Hmm.
I never really liked the brother. I'm just gonna be very honest, okay? And maybe those are reasons that I'll address later.
Hold
But
up.
for this tour,
Before you even go far, Brahim Diaz or Omar Mamouche, who you taking?
I'm taking Marmoush.
You lost,
taking
brother. But
Marmoush.
continue.
But that's because we have yeah, it's long, brother. But let me just say right now for Brahim Diaz, this tournament he came through. As his past was his past, he showed up for this tournament.
Mhm.
And it's very interesting where you start to see the maturity of where players really are when the intensity starts to really get to its brink. You
Mhm.
understand? Shooting a Panenka for the win at the final of any tournament, brother,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
goes to show you what kind of a player Brahim Diaz is in his maturity.
I don't think that's fair. I don't
In
think
his
that's fair.
maturity. But
I don't.
that's just my
No,
opinion, right?
I don't think that's fair. I'll tell you why I don't think that's fair. Right. The reason why that's not fair is because if he does and scores the Panenka, he goes down historically as one of the most phenomenal acts in a final for Morocco, and flawlessly because he was the one who actually was pulled down as well. Right. So
Mhm.
everything was there for him to be that hero, and he's thinking from the perspective of like Mendy's coming to try to ice me. Right. Everybody, all the Senegalese players were taken off the field. Coming back, he's big as he is. Mendy's a huge figure. He's showcasing to me he's looking like he wants to go in any kind of a direction. Mendy, I would say I would applaud him for his mental fortitude in trying to like put Brahim off of his mark and making it look like he was going to go one way or the other and sticking it. But I don't think you really can fault Brahim because in his mind, if you really looked at him, he was looking down at the ball. He wasn't even looking at a direction. He'd already made up his mind he was going to Panenka from the start. So I think that's how you got to take PKs. You got to decide and be decisive and go away and just go. You cannot, in the last moment, when you see the player not moving, decide to go in a direction. And I think if he scores, everybody looks at him as a hero because without him, where would Morocco be in this tournament?
So,
He is the
question,
Golden
Muqbil.
Globe,
You're Ashraf
Yeah,
Hakimi, the leader of the team.
yeah,
Typically, you're the PK taker. You have El
absolutely.
Nesri, who's also a seasoned,
Yeah,
leader in the team. Do you
yeah.
give it to Brahim Diaz, who is arguably, not among the senior leaders when we're looking at that? He might be among the most brightest spotlighted players, considering the fact that he plays for Madrid, but he's not the
Yeah,
talisman. Who takes it?
you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. Usually it's supposed to be the captain, but one could argue if the captain wasn't trying to come out and forcefully let him know like, look, I got this. And usually when you see captains that are, attacking players, they tend to be more comfortable in these situations. Let's also not forget Hakimi missed a huge PK.
Hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, right? In the it was the World Cup?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was in the World Cup,
yeah.
and I think that might potentially have gone into the conversation of like him not wanting to be in the circle again, being African Player of the Year and then potentially being able to like lose it in that moment. I
Hmm.
think from a leadership perspective, I would have wanted him to take it because as the captain, as the leader, you got to put it on your shoulders,
It's your
right?
moment.
You have to own that moment because when the win happens, Ashraf Hakimi is gonna still like lead the headlines. The
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
captain, the African Player of the Year ends up winning, the thing, ends up winning AFCON for Morocco. So you need to pull the bull by its horns in that moment and come out and take it. I think personally.
Omo, what you say?
Well, see, we could go by history, right? When a critical moment, like when in the quarterfinal of the 2010 World Cup, right? It was Uruguay versus Ghana.
Yeah.
Brother, let me tell you something. Ghana was also representing Africa, right? In this
Hmm.
moment. Brother, in the last minute of the game, the captain stepped up and he missed the penalty. He didn't Panenka it though.
Sent it
He
flying, boy.
he just
Mhm,
sent that flying, right?
mhm,
So now understand this. In a quote in an interview that
mhm,
he said verbatim, "I let Africa down.
mhm.
That was one of the worst moments of my career.
Right.
Hmm.
I would have ended my career, right?" And then
Mhm,
he ends the quote saying, I was scared. I was gone. My head, my everything was gone. I was emotional. It was crazy. He said, I said to myself, it was just a mistake. Just go and prove to people, Asamoah Gyan, you can score, and that was what revived my career. Brother, that for Asamoah Gyan, I could say was bigger than this Brahim Diaz PK miss. But it's about who is your captain and what kind of mental does your captain have for big crucial moments. Are you going to let stuff in the past, whether it be in the far past or in the current past, dictate what really matters in the current moment?
Omo,
Brother, like,
I see what you're saying. The problem with it is that this is the host nation, right? This is the host nation in the finals on the potential last kick to win the entire tournament, right? The stakes are so very high. Everybody's emotions are at the top, right? If Hakimi scores and steps up, man, he'll have a statue in front of their
In Rabat.
presidential palace tomorrow in Rabat. That's a fact, right? But my brother, and here's the big but, if he misses, this can be such a dark, it can taint him so much more. Like there was way more potential downside than upside for Hakimi in that moment because he's already African Player of the Year, PSG Champions League winner. You know, he's gone the furthest that an African team has gone in World Cup history. There's so many pluses for him, even though he made that critical miss, you know, in the World Cup, right? Now, if he comes out and he misses and Senegal does what they end up doing and they lose because he missed, brother, it's raps for my guy. So now Brahim is a young bull. He can get over this. You know, he plays for Real Madrid. He's a little youngin', you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be the end of his world. Like he's so young. He hasn't even gotten his stride yet. So like next 4 years, he could turn it around, or even in the next 2 years,
He's
he
still
could
got
do
another
something
AFCON
big.
coming up,
Yeah.
bro. He's still got
Well, of
another
course, but
AFCON coming up.
he could do something big in the World Cup. You know what I mean? And turn up for them. And like I said, he already scored so many goals that without him, they wouldn't even have gotten to the point that they got to this tournament. So you can allow inexperience and youth to kind of dictate how we feel about a player, but our veteran, you know, captain with this much tenure and experience steps up and misses again. It's a wrap.
Now, speaking
It's a
of
wrap. So Hakimi, yeah,
speaking of veterans who stepped up, made it happen, made the shaking shake, Sadio Mane,
the
a man who
boy
changed the whole trajectory, had to go pull his teammates from the locker room.
from the locker
From
room.
the boys had escaped. They said, "Nah, we're done with this." Sadio Mane went to go call him back, and he changed the trajectory. Was one of the leading instigators behind that goal. That was goal, that rocket of a goal. Let's talk about that man. Like I said, he played his last AFCON game today. What a AFCON career has had, 2 trophies, capping it up with another trophy. Swizz, talk to me about his career, man. What say thou about Sadio Mane, man?
Phenomenal player. Just as he is, you know, in the field, he's just a great as a human being and a teammate outside from all the stories that we hear. His leadership not only is on the field, but it exceeds that, right? You have a player who has really, I want to say single-handedly, because Senegal has been a force in African football for a really long time, but he has kind of cemented them, you know, him and the likes of Koulibaly, you know, and for Senegal to do this without their captain for real, you
Yeah.
know, is another testament at the quality of play. A lot of times, you know, the arguments used to be made, right? North African teams versus sub-Saharan teams, right? It would be like there might be 1 or 2 players playing at a high level for the sub-Saharan teams, where a lot of the North African players play very similar to that European style of football, right? A lot of them are playing in these bigger clubs. That is no longer the case, man. The level by which Senegal played today was, man, they had their foot on the necks of Morocco. And by the way, I love
Whole
Morocco.
game.
I love their team, but the mix that Senegal had today, with starting with the leadership of Sadio Mane, showcased a level of technical ability, but as well as physicality and strength, right? Like that is the difference, right? It's easy to come in and, kind of just play a nice tactical tiki-taka style of play when the other guys on the other side don't know how to play that style, and when they're not as strong either. So when Sadio came in and, pulled the players back, let them know, like, man, he went into the locker room, grabbed the guys back and told them that it's not done. It's not done. Why are we acting like it's done? Why do we have our heads down? Let's go in and let's do something. Mendy comes in, obviously, phenomenal save. But Sadio Mane, man, what a career, having started off in, building his way up into the Prem, Southampton, Liverpool, makes the big jump, goes to Bayern, doesn't really work out, gets that second wind, goes to Saudi Pro League. And we got to talk about Saudi Pro League too. Conversations were being had just a couple years ago, when Messi made his way, Messi, Ronaldo, right? Like Saudi Pro League or MLS. It's the conversation is not close.
It's look a little different.
The conversation is not close.
Different.
The conversation not close. Yeah, man. So shout out to Sadio, man, and what a phenomenal career. If this was his last AFCON, I think he wants to end it on a high as well. Man, hats off to the boy.
Player of the tournament, Omo. What'd you say?
I mean, I couldn't say more than just what Muqbil just said. I mean, Sadio Mane is like your ideal career, if you ever had to choose one. I mean, it's the rags to riches story, It's like Sadio. So, I mean, and it's kind of funny too. In the semis of this tournament, I remember seeing videos of when when Senegal won. The camera panned to Sadio Mane, and Sadio Mane was trying to let everybody know, guys, it's not over, right? We got one more, we got one, and I laughed. I couldn't help but laugh at that, right? Because it's just that type of stuff where it's like, for people watching, it could be cringy, it could be kind of like, all this extra stuff, but like in a team's perspective, I'm 100% sure that even in the locker room, Sadio Mane was letting people know, guys, listen, we have to still maintain the same level of focus and determination that we need to get into the final and win. You understand? So I feel like that is like the ideal person that maybe not even like maybe not on paper people could see that ended up being something that led to the result, but in the moment as it happened, I'm sure Sadio Mane played a very extremely crucial role into having everybody have the same mental to push through to the final. So, Sadio Mane's career to me is phenomenal. I think he throughout the time has showed way more maturity and a lot of class in the way he plays that I got to see from other former African footballers that kind of have a similar respect as far as African footballers are at least renowned for. So my overall statement for that is like, Sadio Mane is if not he is doing everything he can to make it into the Mount Rushmore of African footballers. You understand? So, and this tournament just goes to show you that some people are in the search for greatness, in everything they do and how they play and in their character. You can see that Sadio Mane is one of them.
So is Mane in your Mount Rushmore?
If we're saying Mount Rushmore is what, just four heads?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Michael.
It just got tricky, didn't it?
Honestly, it's tough. I mean, if we're just, because we got to think about there's two completely different conversations we could be having, right? Is Sadio's entire career being put into it, or just from the perspective of AFCON legends? See, those are two. It's kind of like that conversation when you compare somebody's, like when people talk about Cristiano having been the best Prem player over Henry, or people saying Henry. So it's like, if we're talking just AFCON legend, I think he has to be in there. He's got two now, right?
Yeah, it's the second.
Yeah, he's got two. Yeah, and he's got He's got some AFCON
Yeah,
player of the year
creds.
awards as
Yeah,
well. So
creds.
I
Yep.
think I think for sure. I think he's got to be up there.
So
At least in modern
career-wise, does he crank it
in
in the top 4?
career-wise, he cranks it to career-wise, it puts him over the top, I think, because of what he's
Okay.
been able to do in career. But I'm saying sometimes it's not fair because some African legends have done so much for the game, but haven't maybe done as much outside. Does that make
Let me.
sense? Or maybe I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. How
Mhm,
about this? Mo Salah, arguably being one of the best Prem players of all time, but in
mhm.
AFCON conversations, can't crack it.
Yeah, yeah.
Hasn't won one, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
having not won one, really kind of puts you at that. You can't be up there. Even though
Yeah,
you have so many other accolades as well.
that conversation gets really tricky sometimes when it comes about winning versus talent, right? Um, like you just pointed out, that's the difference between a Sadio Mane and a Mo Salah, is that Sadio Mane has been able to carry the team through to that last winning important factor, versus Mo Salah, who unfortunately, and once again, you can't just put it on one player's back, but some
Hmm
just
hmm
happen to have that fortune. But
Yeah,
do you put
yeah.
Sadio in your top, let's just say top 10 midfielders of all at time for Africa?
Africans?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I think comfortably. I think
Top 5?
comfortably. Um, if I'm thinking about it now, it gets tight. It gets tight up there. We're talking
Bro,
if we're saying just midfielders. See, there's a difference between just saying midfielders versus attacking players, right?
Okay, let's go midfielders, then we'll go attacking players.
Yeah, midfielders. He should crack 5.
to
Yeah.
me,
hmm
I'm
He's
so
5.
sorry, Sadio Mane. Please, brother. If you see this, brother, you know it's not personal. But brother, I'm so sorry. Not yet. I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
not yet, but his
Sadio
career's
Mane
almost
doesn't
done.
crank
Okay,
your top
give me
5?
5. Give me
Yeah,
5. Give me 5 better. There we go. Here we go. Give me
Brother,
5.
you guys love this question, bro. But
pick your
I'm gonna
top
be
5 then.
bro, please, bro. And you know what's the problem about that?
This
Bro,
guy's good at. He's good at
bro,
the redirect.
brother, please.
Uh-huh.
You know what the problem is about that question, bro?
Yeah.
I,
There's too many options. You're saying there's too many guys that could be. Okay, so just give me
no,
like
no, let
any
me say
potential. Yeah.
no, just let me just say what I was about to say, right?
Yeah.
Brother, the problem with that question is that I'm such a visually
Okay. I
what I see to me outweighs the accolades. But that's just me though.
no I understand. I get what you're saying. I get what you're
Strip the
saying. Like
accolades. Look at his
the
contributions towards the grand scheme of African football. Who is your
yeah.
top 5?
Hold on, Omo. Before you answer that, I get what you're saying. It's like currently like a player like a Ryan Shirky, right? He's phenomenal to watch, right? And I hate Man City, to be fair, but like he is a phenomenal player, and sometimes even what he does doesn't show up on the scoreboard, but he just makes the game easier for
Mhm.
his teammates, right? And he makes the game look effortless, and the game looks fun, right? When he plays the game, right? So I think those are the two different types of conversations that we should be having. Sometimes there's players that, I think you could say the Sadio Manes and the Mo Salahs are guys that are very clinical. They get the job done, but sometimes they're not the easiest watch, right? Right. So I guess that's where almost talking about like there's guys that in African football had that flavor when you're watching them. You're just watching, you're like, this guy is the guy. Like, even if he for 90 minutes, he just running, just mixing guys, you know, he might not even score for real, but
Listen,
he makes you genuinely like the game. I get that conversation.
Thank you,
I get it.
brother.
I get it.
saying Sadio Mane is
Mike
not
said,
in
I
your
don't get it.
nah,
My,
nah. I'm not buying that one, brother. Sadio Mane is among easily the top 5 African players, African forwards of all time, easily. Right? It's you're gonna include Sadio Mane, you're gonna include Mo
mm-hmm,
Salah, you're gonna include
mm-hmm,
JJ Okocha, and then
mm-hmm.
if you're gonna now you can add Yaya
Didier,
Touré and Didier
Didier.
Drogba, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
But you
Yeah,
cannot exclude Sadio Mane. And even the talk of accolades, right?
yeah,
Sometimes
yeah,
the accolade is what takes you over because it's about your
for sure.
contribution towards the accolade. I'm not saying that he has to
Yeah,
score every game, But if you look at the assists, if you look at what his contribution towards the goal, if you look at his contribution towards the victory, you cannot exclude a player like Sadio Mane in terms of African football.
Bro,
That is,
Mike, we would be lying to say that we could have conversations about any team sport or any sport in general without adding accolades.
it's
Like that's
impossible.
just it's impossible, right? So like there's been plenty of players that have come out, that we've loved to watch but haven't been able to amount to much simply
Hmm.
because they weren't able to win things on the biggest stages, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really what if we look at, certain players' career trajectories, they've been phenomenal players, but they just haven't been able to win much.
Hmm.
And sometimes what happens is in that pocket, when you're in those couple of years when you're watching, all the fans love that player, but that player doesn't have legacy. They
Hmm.
don't translate beyond a certain generation. The reason why we're able to remember, the Ronaldos, R9s, and Ronaldinhos and Zidanes, these guys are memorable and they're etched in our minds because of them having won, right? If
Hmm.
they didn't win, Zidane wouldn't have never been like a less of a player. Zidane was still a phenomenal player. If he didn't get the wins, we might not be talking about him on the level that we talk about him because he was able to slay Brazil in that prime where Brazil was untouchable, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I think those are the type of things. But yeah, I think Sadio Mane for me definitely cracks my top 5 for sure, for sure.
All right, but while we're still on the chat of AFCON, right? So obviously AFCON just wrapped up. We're looking at the FIFA World Cup coming up. We just saw a firecracking final between Senegal and Morocco. How well do you, forget just those two, right? Even the semifinals were firecrackers. We had Egypt, we had Nigeria. Unfortunately, Nigeria won't be making it to the FIFA World Cup.
Yo, what?
But
Listen, can we hezzy there and talk quickly? Like, just a quick little hezzy.
what's
You like,
up?
I got a question. Do you think, right? If, for instance, let's say Nigeria won AFCON, right? Should there be a clause that allows the AFCON winner to automatically qualify for the FIFA World Cup?
Honestly, I think that's
Crazy,
tough, brother. That's tough.
crazy.
The reason why I'm saying that's a very unfair way of looking at it, right? Is AFCON at some point gets to a place where it's one game versus the next game, right? In comparison to
Mhm.
qualifiers, this is a
Yeah.
longevity of periods where it's kind of like thinking of just saying, hey, just because you won, well, I guess you win the FA Cup, you
Mm-hmm.
qualify for
Mm-hmm.
champs, right?
There we go for champ. That's what I'm saying. So there are some comps. There are some comps. Obviously not on the international stage, but there are
Hmm.
comps. Domestically or within Europe or within continents and stuff. That by winning a specific cup, that kind of like elevates you to the next
Hmm.
round. Gives you that.
I mean,
So
what it still becomes a hot chat. I mean, looking at it from a grand scheme of things, typically the winner of AFCON typically is within the chats of
should be in for
should
sure.
be in, right?
Should be in
Um,
for sure.
in this case, once again, I think Nigeria. This was a very interesting take. One this for me, this Africa, their campaign at AFCON was kind of like them reviving the spirit of who the Super Eagles are, right? Up until their World
Yeah.
Cup qualifiers, Nigeria looked very unlike the Super Eagles, looked very unlike African giants. Come AFCON, it's kind of like they revived that spirit, and they literally were on the brink of winning it, right? They could
Hmm.
have been in
Hmm.
the final very easily. Um,
Yeah.
but to go back to that chat, like I said, 3 of those teams that made it to the semifinals are going to be playing at the FIFA World Cup. What do you think it looks like for their future when we're looking at their groups where they're standing in the FIFA World Cup?
I personally think, man, like African football is in great hands. What we're starting to see is, these specific teams that actually end up qualifying for the World Cup and the likes are no longer going to be looked at as the lesser teams coming from different continents, right?
Hmm.
That was kind of like how it was in past decades. If you're looking at just look at the quality and the depth of these players, just from the finals, for instance. So Morocco and Senegal are going to be there, right?
Hmm.
You have the luxury on either team to be pulling guys off of your bench that are starters or play for some of the top leagues in Europe, right?
So they're like
That
the
is something
Arsenal
that
right now.
yeah, 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 yeah. Up there, you know what I mean? Up there, at the top, it's just us, comfortably. Yeah, we'll get to that. but yeah, but so like when I'm seeing somebody like a Ismail Sarr, coming off the bench, for
hmm
Senegal,
hmm
can't crack the starting lineup.
Yeah.
Like, man, how good is that team?
hmm
He is a phenomenal player, right? Having done his thing with Crystal Palace, you see Iliman Ndiaye for me has been
Yeah.
one of my players of the tournament. Like, he is just a joy to watch, man. Like, I seen that there's a certain time during the game he was on the right hand flank and he had 3 Moroccan players rush him and he got out of it comfortably. Like,
Easy.
he is so techy. Man, what a player to watch. I think he should be making a big move in the summer, but Everton are saying that they got him on lock for a bit, but we'll see, man. I think yeah, he could come join us, man. You know, we'll take him.
So looking at these groups, right? So let's start off at the FIFA World Cup groups. If we're looking at Morocco, in their group they have Brazil, Haiti, and Scotland. You think they can make it that out?
Yeah, ideally, yeah. Oma, what are your thoughts here? You got Haiti coming out of that group?
What? What
Yo,
is it?
my
Bro, bro,
don't let my Haitian followers here, man. It's not passe, man. Yeah,
please,
I love
please,
Haiti, man.
Okay,
please.
so
So what? Wait, so Muck, so what? What do you think, Muck? What?
Oh no,
What?
I posed the question to you because for me,
Oh, got it, got it.
I speak a little Creole, so I don't want to, when I come down to Miami, I want to be good.
yeah.
So
Got
I'm
it,
gonna be,
got it. I think Brazil. Will be coming out of that. But can I answer your previous question, Mike, please?
hmm
Just about what like how I feel like Africa will fare in the World Cup, brother. Can I just be honest with you? I do think, unfortunately, it's just not Africa's time yet, right? But
Okay.
I do think that this World Cup will be the opportunity to inspire more than any time before, right? And specifically the inspiration going into players that are in the Prem, players that are in Syria, in these high class leagues that choose to claim the citizenship of the team that they're on, that neglects the African roots.
hmm
Brother, this to me has been an age old conversation.
Okay.
Brother, Pogba, Mbappe, N'Golo Kante. Brother, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Maybe it's done for them, right? Maybe
hmm
maybe there's no way out of that for them, right? Let's just say that. I'm talking about the people behind them that look at the opportunity that Sadio Mane is giving Africans, brother.
hmm
Looking at Sadio Mane, just him, his career, everything about him is an inspiration in itself
hmm
to other African players. Where now when you stick to where you are from, the people that where you come from embrace you just on a different level. It's just different. And that's what the World Cup can give the future footballers that can end up making the continent of Africa a serious issue for World Cup tournaments to come.
I will say this though, just to touch on that point, very good point, and this has been an age-old debate, right? Um, North Africans historically have just done a better job at being able to still play for those European sides and still coming
hmm
back home, right?
hmm
And for whatever reason, sub-Saharan African players, um, as they have the option to play for either team because they are nationality wise they have both options, have just always fared to want to play for the European powerhouse because they're playing alongside other powerhouses, right?
hmm
Now when you do that, what it does is it allows you to play more free, right? And because you know that you're not the focal point, if you
hmm
end up coming to Africa how it was historically, because it's not the same anymore, how it was historically, you would be the guy, you would be Drugba, right?
hmm hmm
Dragging, 10 other players with you, right? Toure was there as well, yeah, Toure and such, but for the most part, you have yourself plus a other full roster of players that forget the fact that you even before you get onto the pitch, bro, some of our federations, we got to talk about the deep net, like how deep it is. The reason why Nigeria was in the position that they were in wasn't because of their players, you know, it's federation stuff. So we have to, as a continent, want like to take the game seriously, as serious as North Africa has taken it, right? As a collective continent. And then from there, we'll be able to see that the players will be more than likely and wanting to come back home if they see the quality of players are up there. Are you telling me Bukayo Saka, Madueke, and Eze would not want to come play for Nigeria if all three of them got the green light? If all three of them had the ability to come knowing that it's a federation telling them, hey, whatever is at your disposal, you guys come here, we'll fly you out, we'll treat you the way that you guys deserve to be treated. Not like them hearing horror stories of having to potentially pay for their other colleagues or the other players and not having, you know what I mean? Like all the horror stories you end up hearing from not only the continent, by the way, it's all of the majority of the developing countries. It's happening in Jamaica and the Caribbean as well. You know, Leon Bailey was talking about it. He's like, they wouldn't even send me a plane ticket. It's ridiculous.
On that chat, so I guess Omo just made it clear for himself. You don't think an African team can win the next World Cup?
No, I definitely believe two teams have potential currently, right? Senegal and Morocco both have a lovely shot depending on what their trajectory is. You know, it always depends on who you end up playing as well. So if things stack up in your favor, absolutely, they can do it. Morocco just went to the quarters, right?
Quarterfinals, right? First time for an African nation.
Right. And they smacked the big dogs to get there too. It wasn't like it was an easy park, you know, like you walk in the park for them. They ended up having to lose to France, you know. So it's not like they beat, I believe, Portugal. They beat Spain on the way, you know. Like it was not easy. It wasn't easy for them. They pretty much have the same team, if not even more, you know. They even got, you know, Brahim and some of the younger guys now have even become more established. So they could run something similar again. Not to say that they'll have such a historic run, but they can do that. Senegal has shown us that they can go up against Morocco and really do them the way that they did them. They like Iliman Ndiaye had a phenomenal shot earlier on in the game where he should have buried that Jean. But Yassine Bonou is a phenomenal goalkeeper, really, and he made a lot of tough saves as well. So Senegal looks like they could do it as well. So I think for me, Senegal and Morocco both have the quality currently to be able to match up against anybody.
Any team in the world.
But the problem is they still don't have that extreme level of depth, right? So like after their first 3 or 4 guys on the bench, the rest of the guys are not really all the way up there. So if injuries happen, if certain things happen, you know, it's a depth thing for me more so than it is a quality thing. When you're looking at, you know, teams like England, the depth is insane, right? You know, when you look at, you know, majority of the European, France is crazy. I was looking at France's roster. Like France it looks like a video game. They don't look serious at all. Like, you know, so, you know, and then you got a guy like Ryan Cherki, who's of Algerian descent, and he's playing for France too. You know what I mean? So like, come on, come play for Algeria. Come down here, you know? So I don't know, man. I think those two teams definitely have a really good shot, but we'll see, man. This World Cup is gonna be fun. And
why do you say nobody can win it? Well, from Africa, that is.
Brother, because it's kind of like what Muqbil said, bro. Like if you look at some of these guys' teams, bro, and trust me, brother, I am still of the notion that football is not a mathematically based
Anything
sport,
can happen.
brother. Anything can happen, but
when it's crazy. But when it's crazy. It's like
the thing is, it's just about my opinion at this moment, and it might change, but for some reasons, if right now certain African teams have a hard time running the marathon, but have a great time running the sprint. Right, they do very well when it comes to the sprint for certain teams, taking games game by game basis and stuff like that. But we've seen it before. I'm just only going by history, and I'm going by right now as well. But anything can happen still. But I just don't think it's this World Cup, unfortunately.
I feel you. I feel you. Listen, I stand by Suez. For me, personally, I'm favoring Morocco and Senegal. I think just Morocco based on their performance, not just in the previous World Cup, but since then, right? They've looked amazing. Just a fun fact, for example, this was Yassine Bounou's first goal to concede since March 2025. That to me shows a
Bro,
different level of
that was so
that's something
that was so insane to me.
absolutely insane, right? For me, it shows a different level of preparation. Them losing in today's final, I think it's just a matter of they faced up to a whole different competition that I can't say they didn't expect, because obviously everybody's been watching Senegal and Senegal's been performing really well. But I think for them, they expected the fact that they were at home ground and they were looking really amazing. Throughout this whole tournament, they only conceded 2 goals. It was, based on trajectory and how things were going, a lot of people probably arguably favored them winning AFCON, but it's a whole different chat. So I think Morocco has what it takes to go all the way. It like you said, Swizz, it comes down to semantics of who do you play, right? Because once you get out of the group, then it's almost like an open thing where you could get the big boy or you could get the small boy that you thrash. Anything can happen, like you say,
Or
Omo.
you could or you could be Argentina and just get everything handed your way on the easiest side of the bracket.
That's a whole Messi. It's a Messi effect, brother.
Mike, can I ask you a question?
What's up?
Brother, as a South African, right?
Hmm.
How do you think South Africa is gonna do? Do you think they're gonna make it out their group stage?
Who's in their group?
uh, that's a very unfair question to ask, bro. Hold on, let me look at
Who's
South
who's in a
Africa's
group?
group.
Who's in a group?
That's what I'm trying to pull up. Give me 1 second,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll be able to answer that question properly. So I actually do believe that it's very possible. Yes. I will say it is possible. So in their group they have Mexico, South Korea, and there's one position that's still to be decided. Um, in
Mm.
that group, once again, I think the biggest competition that they have would be Mexico. South Korea is not far off. But if Bafana is able to do what they've been able to do in the past couple of games, competitions, and qualifying for the World Cup, I have nothing that could make me doubt that they would get out of that group. Now, in terms of winning it, that's a whole different discussion. Bafana, if they win it, that's the biggest dark horse in African football history. I'll tell you that for free. But I think they're definitely able to they should be able to get out of that group. What I'm looking forward to, because of course the opening game will be Bafana versus Mexico. I'm excited for that because that's kind of like a repeat of the 2010
Mm-hmm.
opening FIFA World Cup. So that's going to be something I'm stoked to watch. But yeah, like I said, I don't have Bafana not getting out of that group. It's very possible.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know.
But speaking of African football, now let's look at the world itself, right? We just concluded the whole tournament. But throughout the whole tournament, we saw a lot of international big boy teams crumbling. I'm a Man U fan, I can tell you for free. Without Ahmed Diallo and Brian Mbeumo and Nus Mazraoui, the team looked confused, brother. We got knocked out of the FA Cup by Brighton. We were barely scraping through points. We had a manager sacked in that period. But finally, the two boys came back. Ahmad Diallo and Brian Bomo came back, and the team almost looked like Fergie Manchester United, right? And that's just not speaking to Man United as a team, but even Man City, right? The team that we got to play against. It was interesting to see Haaland be taken off and an 18, 19-year-old kid be brought on as a replacement. But it only clicked to me that Omar Marmoush is at AFCON. He typically would be the one to come on and change
Mm-hmm.
the trajectory for City. Talk to me, Swizz, about that factor of what the world looked like without all these African players shaking up and not just Europe, but even in Saudi.
Yeah, I think, Mike, it's a great point. A lot of times, AFCON wasn't one of the main tournaments that used to affect a lot of teams, right? Similarly, in the Prem, Man City in particular was one of those teams, and I still don't think it affects him as much because I think Marmoush is the only player that from City that is of African descent.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, Semenyo. Does Semenyo play
Semenyo,
for?
well, he just signed, but and Ghana
Yeah,
wasn't playing at
he just
AFCON,
signed.
so
Yes, got you. Yeah. So now that would be two players that potentially would go back for an AFCON, but he regularly doesn't keep a lot of African players, you know. That's not really Pep's style. He's a European guy, right? So I think Man United in particular, or teams that are just heavy with African players, um, the African player, man, is an amazing and extremely loyal to the soil player, as the special one Jose Mourinho said, you
he
know.
used to say that,
Like, you know,
yeah.
he literally said that, you know, like he's like, there's guys that's around my age and they still call me daddy, you know. He's like, it's like, you know, he's like, but you know, but he's the only coach I believe that that could go to the continent right now, and the love for him is insane across even rival fans. Like
Mhm.
I'm an Arsenal fan and I love Jose Mourinho. I think he's been phenomenal for the African player, that specific type of player, and he's done so much with them. But what they've been able to do in European football as of late, you know, has been huge. They are no longer, you know, just the one player that comes off the bench randomly or
No.
whatever.
Mhm.
They're starters, man. Africans are starters. They're headliners. They're players that really are game changers. You know what I mean? Really doing huge things, and that's not only, and that's just the ones that play for the African teams that go back home and play, let
Mhm.
alone the ones that are of African descent
Oh, Lord.
that are out
Mhm.
here that are still, you know, that are doing amazing things. So
Mhm.
I'm really glad that I saw, you know, like a player that is a player that I think was my player to watch this tournament, Iliman, you know, who can play for England if I'm not mistaken as well.
Yes, yes.
You know, and chose to go and play for Senegal. You know, that is, you know, that's amazing, you know, and he really showed his class, man. So, you know, shout out to him, but you know, shout out to the African players, man.
Omo?
I mean, I mean, I think Muqbil said it. I said it best, but I honestly feel like, bro, Africans are like in like an army, bro. They're like the front liners, bro. Like you can trust that the African on your team will be willing to put every crunching tackle necessary. And on top of that, defensively, brother, we saw throughout this whole tournament in the AFCON, brother, Africans are some raw football playing individuals, brother. They go in
Menaces.
just menaces, brother. And in the best way
I
though,
love it.
that you
I
Mhm.
want,
love it.
Mhm.
that you
Yeah,
want
Mhm.
on your
like
team.
it's the menace that you love. It's the, you know,
It's
when he's against you, you hate him.
You
You
hate
hate
him.
him for sure, brother. For sure. And bro, and like even like you could even see like a little bit of what I love so much about the game through the coaches as well, bro. Like even like in this last final, bro. Like like bro, this
The fieriness was amazing, bro.
like bro, like that is why I feel like this game will never die out, bro, because it's about the spirit that Africans instill into the team. And let alone if your entire team is African, brother,
Mhm.
you got just a full breed of spiritual beings that
Mhm.
just love every moment, that are willing to break their legs, get concussions, you know, bleed
Get
out. I saw
cut,
this.
bleed.
You see what I'm saying? A guy had I forgot his name, brother.
Yeah,
He had the headband with the blood over it, like
yeah.
we're actually at war. Like,
Amazing,
brother, this is
amazing. He said, "I'm not coming off. I'm not wrap
brother
me up,
that
coach. Wrap me up, coach. I'm here."
and I'm sure he was concussed too. So, you
For
know,
sure.
it's that type of stuff, brother, that Africans instill into the game that the people watching also feel. And we can't help but get glued to the screen because we experience it with them. That's how deep it is for us Africans to watch Africans play as a collective or just as individuals in certain teams.
No,
Uh,
well said,
I'm
bro.
gonna touch on another thing you mentioned early on, Mokbul, the emergence of the Saudi Pro League, and the reason I'm saying this is because we're starting to see a lot of African stardom appear in the Saudi Pro League, right? in comparison to the MLS. Of course, they've always, the goal has always been to play in Europe. But now it's like the Saudi Pro League seemed to be one of the, if you want to call it a rising star in terms of world leagues, right? So in Saudi, we have Khalidou Koulibaly, we have Mendy, we have Sadio Mane, Yassine Bonou, Riyad Mahrez. The list goes on and on and on. Swizz, talk to me about that. I know you're a big advocate of this discussion of what it means to play for the SPL. Do you think that young emerging African talent should be chasing the SPL in comparison to their aspirations of playing in Europe, or I guess now with the MLS growing?
I think the conversation should be, before it was looked at as, okay, you go to the Saudi Pro League if you're trying to do a money grab, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Ivan Toney get his yearly salary in a week when he
He's trying to
signed,
come back
right?
now.
So
He wants the World Cup
yeah,
spot.
and
He's like, I'm
yeah,
trying to get
right,
back.
right. Absolutely. But here's the thing though. He went out there, got his bag, right? Also balled out, right? He's doing his thing, right? He's banging goals, doing what he's supposed to do as a center forward. And now he still has a bunch of teams that are still calling him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And England is still calling him up too. Like Tuchel came and called him up. So it's like, before Southgate and that crew were the guys that were kind of like hesitant and like saying that, yo, we don't know what the quality of the game is over there, or almost trying to defer and move people away from wanting to go there, right? Because they have money. Let's be honest here. Let's have a serious conversation. Not only the Prem, but other European leagues have been doing this for years, getting quality players from smaller markets and paying them more to bring them here, right? Grabbing them from the Brazils and the Latin Americas, right? Finding them in Africa, finding them in different pockets of Asia. It's nothing new. All of a sudden, when there's another guy who has a deeper pockets than you, all of a sudden now it's problematic. Now you shouldn't want to play for money. You should want to play for stacks. No, that's not true. If the league is doing as good as it's doing, and we see that it's a healthy league, right? Because we're seeing players like N'Golo Kante, who we saw even last World Cup still go crazy. You know what I mean? Even in the Euros, get called back and was still in top shape in his older age, right? Quote unquote, right? So now you got players like Cristiano still doing his thing over there. You still got Benzema still playing. So you're seeing players that thought that they were going to go to a retirement league go in and still have to fight on a continual basis on a growing league. I think the Saudi Pro League is a phenomenal league. I think young players from Africa should seek out that league if they have the option, if their agents are giving them the availability to go there. Go out there, ball out, and then you'll still be seen elsewhere. You can still make the move to Europe if that's your goal. But I think what it's starting to do is starting to level up. Back in the days, it was like, if you go to Europe, that's it. That's the pinnacle. Not anymore, because at the end of the day, this is still a job. People tend to forget, footballer, this is a job. For the African player who makes it out of, whether it's his village, his city, or his respective family, you are now responsible for a ton of people back home that you have to help, in some shape, way, or manner, right? In a community that still is expecting you to come back and still help. Now, if one person is offering you this and someone's offering you 3x, listen here, man. I've always been good at math, man. Go ahead and 3x that.
Let's do this. Omo?
Brother, I'm gonna be real, and I know you were being real. Obviously, I mean, I'm just saying.
For sure.
I just like to start my sentences off like that. So, brother, I'm gonna be very real. In my opinion, brother, and I'm currently an aspiring football player. Right now, Saudi isn't just it's not the place you want to start your career off with. I just want to just be able to say that, just to say, like,
Why?
because the thing about the Prem compared to the Saudi league, it's just the reputation behind the two.
But how long does it take for the reputation to get there? Right?
Well, that's a great question, and we'll see in time. We'll see it in time what Saudi's reputation is going to be as it starts to keep developing what it started with all of these grand players coming in and developing all the teams and all these extra stuff. We'll see,
But
right? But
wait. What about players like Granit Xhaka who went to Saudi and they're back in the Prem and they're shaking stuff up, or Henderson who did the same thing, who came back, went to Saudi, came back, shaking it up. What makes you think that transition is not possible?
no,
I
it's
no,
possible.
I think what almost saying is because he's a rising star, right? And he's still an aspiring football player who wants to make it out. He's saying that if he were to go to Saudi Pro League, let's say if he was able to sign, however, like if he was able to get there, the movement from Saudi to Europe is more challenging. They don't want they will make it difficult for you because they don't want to turn it into a pipeline, right? So I guess what he's saying is if you want to take your first shot at trying to make it, even go to a smaller league, maybe like I would say like a Hungary, Sweden, Czech Republic, make it from there, and then it's easier transition because all of these people and these agents and these teams, they all have relationships within themselves, within Europe, but going from Saudi to there or vice versa is very hard unless you are a staple name. Hendo was already made. He was a made man. You know what I mean? Like everybody that you're mentioning that Ivan Toney can make it back because he was already made prior to. But going from the pro league back out or starting from there, going out currently is harder. But the more players that come in, then the easier it'll be. So like I think once the barrier breaks, it's similar to like what Saudi did with Live Golf, right? PGA initially said like none of our players are going to be allowed to go there, and if you guys participate in that, then you guys are out of here. Then they just saw the money. Money talks. The players said, "Okay, bet PGA, I gotta play less. If I could do a couple less tournaments and still make X amount of money, I'll go there. It's still the game that I love to play, right?" So, boom. So they went out there and did that. So we'll see in a couple of years if things change up.
All right, gents. Well, we're going to be finalizing in our last couple of minutes before we wrap up on the hour. As we wrap up, I'm going to ask you to play a fun game. I like this game. We're talking about Africa's greatest players. So this is the time to truly test your knowledge. It looks like Omar's not with us right now. So Swizz, I'm gonna start with you, Playboy. Some of
Start
the
me
players we talked
off
about,
is
Sadio Mane,
crazy.
Mo
It's
Salah,
crazy.
and
Listen,
more. Talk to me. Who is in your Africa's all-time starting
listen,
11, and do
starting
these
11.
names crank it?
Listen. Starting 11 is insane, Mike. Off the top of the dome, starting 11 is crazy. Like this is not something that you just walk into. Clearly, you were prepped for this question, Mike.
No.
So
I thought about it, and then I was like, oh,
okay.
these are the names that I'm gonna put. I could easily give you my names.
Wait,
Okay.
Mike, can you start the intro again, please?
What
Just so
intro?
that I'm in just the intro to the all-time starting 11 Africa, please.
I don't need to introduce it, brother. If you know what we're talking about, we're talking about all-time 11 African football players.
Okay, got it. Go
If
ahead.
you have your 11, go ahead, give me.
No, I'm sorry. I'll let
Okay, I can
Muqbil
give you
start.
mine, right? So
Yeah, Mikey, start us off.
in goal, I have Yassine Bonou. Goes without saying. Very few that I
Okay.
could think of all time. I'm adding him. That's right.
Okay.
Right
Okay.
back. So I'm going 4-4-2 as a formation, right? So
Okay.
my right back is going to be Ashraf Hakimi. My center backs are going to be Kalidou Koulibaly and Rigobert Song. My left back is going to be Emmanuel Abur. My midfielders, left wing Sadio Mane. And then in the middle of the park, I'm putting John Obi Mikel. I'm adding JJ Okocha. And then right wing, I am adding Mohamed Salah. And then my two up front, this is good where it gets fun. My two up front, I'm adding Didier Drogba. And my last one, I have to do this. I know you guys are going to kill me, but the bias won't let me do this. I'm adding Benny McCarthy. And I'm standing on that. I have to do this. I have to do this. Whoever has beef, please tell me your 11. I'm listening.
Mike.
And I'm
That's
willing to
devastating.
debate
That's
why Benny
but
should be in it, by the way. I'll tell you that.
Yo, nah,
Because this
bruh.
goes back to the discussion of accolades,
Mhm.
contributions, and everything.
Mhm.
I'll tell you, I'm
Yeah.
willing to back Benny McCarthy being in my all-time 11.
I think that's I
Somewhere
think
there should be
that's
George Ware. I'll tell you that. He should be there. I know that. But I gotta add Benny. Benny's in the
that,
18 area. I have to. I can't have an all-time 11 and not include a South African. Impossible.
yeah. No, I feel you. I'll wait for your.
No, please. I
Please,
insist,
please, please.
Muqbil. I insist.
I think I'll go with everything Mike said. I might switch up George Weah. I potentially might switch up in the middle, throw Yaya Toure in there. To me, outside of that, I think that Benny was out of pocket, but I think Mike's list was solid. I think Mike's list was solid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll allow some space for the editors to put this together in a visual. All right. So my starting 11 will be Mendy in goal.
Mm-hmm.
We are going to probably only because this is a top of all time, I might have my entire back line be all center backs.
That's fine.
But
Mhm.
you know,
Okay.
so I'm going to see if I can put the Cameroonian song as a right back.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put Boateng center back.
Prince
I'm
Boateng?
gonna put his brother.
Okay,
Um
Jeremy.
yeah. And I'm gonna put Kolo Toure right next to him.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to put Hakimi as a left back.
So just flick. Why don't you just
Ashraf
put?
Hakimi
Why
as
don't
a
you? Yeah,
left back.
he's
Yeah.
just saying he
Yo,
should have
this
put
Africa
Hakimi at
team
right.
is
No,
ass, bro.
no, no,
It's
no,
okay.
no,
It's okay.
Wait.
Wait, hold on. Can I finish my list, please? Can I finish my list, please? Fine.
Yes.
I'll switch them
Yeah, just
around
switch
just
the
for you guys. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
For sure.
I didn't want to make this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. So, so then I'm gonna put. I'm gonna make this I'm gonna make this a 4-4-2 formation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna put Yaya Toure in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Right next to Yaya Toure, I'm gonna put Michael Essien.
Okay.
Okay.
And then on the right, I'm gonna put Samuel Eto'o.
Huh?
Okay.
And then on the left, I'm gonna put George Weah.
Mm-hmm.
And then as my two strikers, I'm gonna put Didier Drogba and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. That's my all-time 11.
That's a list to say the least.
Oh wow! What a 11!
That is a list.
All right.
Yeah, that's a list. I mean, just going off top, like I said earlier, I don't disagree with you guys because I can't really think of too many like goalkeepers that were really like super prominent for X amount of time. So I would go with Bonou too, even though Mendy balled out. Yeah, Bonou. You said who'd you have in the back? You said Rigobert's Song.
I said
In the
Song
middle,
is my
Mikey?
right back. No, I said Hakimi's my right
You
back.
said, yeah, Hakimi should be everybody's right back, not left back. Right?
I switched it. I switched
Yeah,
it. Don't worry, I switched it.
you switched
Definitely
it.
not
Same,
left
yeah.
back. I said Hakimi.
Right.
I said
Mhm.
Kalidou Koulibaly. I said Rigobert Song,
Right.
and then I said Emmanuel
Yeah.
Eboue.
Okay. Yeah, Emmanuel.
As a Gunners fan,
Yeah,
you gotta
yeah,
do that
yeah.
just as a come on.
Yeah. That's fair. I don't, I don't disagree with that, but then the other four in the middle, I would have Yaya Toure in the mid is always solid. He's always got to be there. As a creative, you could put JJ Okocha next to him. Honestly, I'll put JJ next to him. Then I'll put on the right, I'll put Mo Salah and Sadio on the left. Up front, I'd have Didier and maybe just for a little sprinkle, Kanu.
All right.
We
All
were talking,
right.
you know, you was talking crazy, Benny McCarthy now. You know, so I guess obviously George Weah is
No,
the
listen,
that's
there's
his
certain
place.
players
That's
for me
way his place.
there's certain players
Kanu
for
for
me
me
that
is
will
fun.
always
You
be
know what I mean?
honorary, right? George Weah will
Yeah,
always
yeah,
be
yeah.
honorary.
Oh, of course, of
Samuel
course, of course,
Eto'o
of
for
course.
me is honorary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Who else? There's a couple of players where it's like it goes without saying that they should be included in that
yeah.
11. But
Of course, of course.
Ability.
I,
Yeah, yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like these players go
yeah,
without
yeah,
saying. But
yeah,
man.
yeah.
All right, gentlemen, I guess we
Nah,
can wrap it
but
up
that was
on this
fun.
front. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to our first episode of our soccer yard. I was here with Muqbil Yabarow and Omolemo Kale, and we were talking the talk. This episode was solely focused on the African Cup of Nations that just wrapped up in Morocco. And of course, shout out and congratulations to Senegal and Sadio Mane, who just completed his AFCON career. They just got crowned the champions. Let's tune in, same place, same time next week, where we're going to be continuing the chat about the world's biggest sport, the world's most loved sport. I go by the name of Mike Hove, and thank you so much for tuning in. Peace.